Hey everybody, good afternoon. Everybody, like there's more than two people that maybe read this. Anyway, I wanted to check in real quick because something good happened this morning. Yay! So, my scale, since I restarted keto, um, it has gone down and I have lost weight, but I think you guys have seen it hasn't been really as much as I wanted it to be sometimes. So, it's gone up and down and stagnated here and there. And so I started thinking about what have I done differently this time than I did the first time? Because I was looking at the MyFitnessPal app, and you can go back and look like over the course of the entire time you've used MyFitnessPal, like what your weight trajectory has been. It creates a cute little graph, um, or you can like chunk it down into smaller timelines. Well, I expanded it back out so I could see, what my graph looked like last year when I was doing keto and really losing a lot. And I mean, I won't say that I never trended back upwards or never had any setbacks, but it was a pretty straight line down for the most part, up until the point where I had lost about 30 pounds anyway, and then it got harder. But for that first 30 pounds, it was basically straight line down, and it hasn't been this time. So I was kind of thinking, like, what have I done differently, this and that. So I wanted to share with you my ultimate thoughts on that because I have done things a little differently this time than I did last time, and I think my conclusions might be helpful for somebody else. So, number one, the first time around, I was like obsessed with drinking water. Like it became a joke, the place I was working at the time, because I worked in an art center, and like the third floor of the art center had like event space and like a full catering kitchen. And I'm one of those people that can't drink water without ice, like it has to be cold. So it became a joke because I'd be going up and down the elevator like every 20 minutes refilling my water, and I was drinking about a gallon a day, and supplementing my electrolytes and all of that. So like my body didn't really feel like it had any water to hold on to because it was getting a steady stream of it. So I shed water weight like that and never had to worry about that going up and down or yo-yoing. Sorry if you can hear that. I have a bird. He's a loudmouth. Um, anyway, this time around, it has definitely been more of a struggle to get my water intake in. Some days I do, and some days not quite. So, the last couple of days, I've been really trying to get that water down my throat. And have succeeded the last couple of days as well. So, we'll talk about how that went for me in a minute. The other thing, and I've heard this before from other people, so why it didn't sink in for me, why I didn't take or not my own advice, but the advice that I had been reading for like the last year from other people, I don't know. But a lot of people have said that restarting keto or going through keto for the second or third time can be really difficult for a lot of people. And part of the reason is because from your first time on keto, you know all the tricks. You know all the fat bomb recipes and all the things that you can substitute sweetener in, and how to make basically like fake versions of the carby food that you gave up the first time. Like, you know how to make cloud bread or oopsie rolls, or, like low carb tortillas, like what basically ketoers call Franken food. It's not real food. It's a fake version, or it's not a whole food. Like one of the two, either not a whole food or has a lot of like artificial crap in it. That's Franken food to ketoers usually. And you know all this now, and you know that it can taste good and this and that, so you start eating a lot more of it instead of just sticking to the whole food that you probably did the first time around because you didn't want to screw it up and you didn't know any better. And I was definitely doing that. Like, I can't remember if I talked about it on here or not, but I made chocolate chip cheesecake cookies, and they were keto. Like, they were totally keto, but they were good. Like, they were better than regular chocolate chip cookies. And I ate half the batch by myself. The batch made 50. I ate half of that by myself. And not like over the course of 2 weeks either. In the course of a couple days. And I have made fat bombs recently. And those are real easy to just keep popping in your mouth, especially when they're chocolate, which for me is a problem. I've definitely gotten into the habit of being like, oh, well, I can make a keto version of that. But the problem is that calories still count on keto. They still count. So if you're stuffing your face full of all kinds of stuff and you're like, well, it's keto, like I can eat it. Yes, you can eat it. That doesn't mean you can eat your weight in it. And I have a hard time stopping myself, as we know, because I've posted about my problems with emotional eating and binge eating disorder. So for me, it still matters that I'm eating whole food that is strict keto because I need that structure. You might not need that structure, but I do, because the other foods that are chocolatey or dessert-like or honestly, even anything that just has a lot of cream cheese in it, because I can't control myself around cream cheese apparently. Like those things are triggers for me to overeat. So I have to be really careful not to have my house stocked full of them. It just doesn't make sense for me. So I have been thinking about those things the last couple of days and kind of made myself a little pledge like, okay, I'm going to drink enough water. Even if I don't want to, and even if it really sucks choking it down, I'm going to drink the freaking water. And I'm not going to make any more fat bombs or cookies or cakes or breads or anything like that, even if it's keto, to keep in this house. Because if I do, I will eat it. A lot of it. So I haven't done that in the last 2 or 3 days, which I know doesn't sound like a long time. But I think this time around I was kind of sabotaging myself a little bit. I wasn't taking the water intake as seriously. I wasn't taking the electrolytes or vitamin supplements as seriously as I did the first time. And definitely making a lot of stuff frequently that I shouldn't have, which part of that is also this time, guys, because I'm home all day, every day. Well, not all day. I go to physical therapy several times a week, but because of my knee, I'm here. So when you take a binge eater or a food addict who at least part of the time boredom eats and you make her stay home all day, my kitchen's right here. I can make anything I want. I've got the time for once. So I just had to kind of quit. And I had been kind of going back and forth between the same like 2-pound range, up and down the last few days. Well, or I mean, like last week and the early part of this last week, whatever, late part of last week. So I kind of cut that out and was like, okay, I need the structure. Let's be strict. Let's go back to basics. Do what we know works. And I did. And then today, this morning, I weighed and I was 2 pounds down. So I broke that little weight that my body was wanting to kind of go up and go down, but it was at that baseline. And then I finally dropped 2 pounds down below that. So that tells me that the basics are still important, even if you think you know all this stuff about keto, and even if it's your second time, basics. Water, electrolytes. Don't eat fake food, just eat whole stuff. Meat and cheese and butter and cream and green leafy veggies, and don't make it complicated. Just keep it simple. I mean, it doesn't mean you can never have a treat, but I think that's part of the problem from our previous carb-fueled lives, right? Like, treats never had their proper place. They weren't treats. They were like every day, several times a day, things that you expected. They weren't ever really treats, right? Or we wouldn't be here. So I don't feel like this is like another deprivation that you're going through on keto. I feel like this is putting things in the perspective and in the context in which they should have been in the first place. So there's that. Okay, off the subject of my loss. I'm really happy about it, but that's my soapbox rant for the day. The other thing is I've been kind of throwing around the idea of maybe going to therapy. I don't know if I want to do that. I'm actually kind of scared of it, but just to talk through some of the things that I think are underlying my emotional eating and food addiction issues. I don't know how I feel about it or not. I mean, I've got the time to do it now, which is plus, but I don't know how I feel. So I'm throwing that around a little bit, and I guess the reason I'm putting it on here is because if anybody is watching these videos, if any of you have done that for similar motivations, similar reasons, if you've gone to a therapist, or even if it hasn't been for that kind of thing, but you've gone for whatever reason, I would love your perspective on whether or not you thought it helped, things to look for in a therapist if I do decide to go through with this, because I just really don't know what I'm doing. So any advice is appreciated. I knew there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, yeah. So this may be old news to a lot of you if you have done keto for a while, but for some reason, I never found this website until actually a few days ago. And I've done keto for a while. But there's this really cool blog called Go Keto with Casey. Some of you may know it, but she's lost like 100 pounds on keto. And now she puts up she'll put up different posts about how she does it or what she eats or tips, things she likes, things she's tried, things she's doing, how she's stayed motivated. Because I think she's been on keto now for like 3 years. Like 3 years. A lot of people, their complaint is that they think keto isn't sustainable or it isn't something that you could do, for the long haul. And I think there's a lot of people out there proving that, and that it's even a good idea. But she's living it every day for years now. So I've really liked her blog. It's not super commercial, and it's kind of more like mine. Like, it's not as focused like a lot of the keto blogs and the keto website as on like giving recipes and telling you how to make this or that thing, whatever, because a lot of them are like that. But it's more like, this is my experience. Let me talk about what I'm dealing with right now and how I'm dealing with it and how I broke through this and how I do keto. And she's like really focused on helping other people do keto. So I really like it. Anyway, that's my plug for it. I don't know Casey, never talked to her. So she's not paying me to say this, but it's www.kcdurango, CASEYDURANGO.com. So if you're looking for like another blog to help you stay motivated and keep on track, something to read, that's a good one. Anyway, that's really all my thoughts for today. On the travel front, I'm still working on putting plans for our Greece trip together, but things are looking a little dicey now because since I still don't have a surgery date for my knee, I'm a little worried about booking hotels and flights because I don't know how long this is going to drag on. So I'm sort of slowly making plans that won't be tied to a certain date so that even if we have to postpone the trip, I'll still have these things in place and it won't matter. But I'm worried about our Greece trip. The other thing that you guys knew about is that our kitchen was torn apart. Here, I'm going to turn this around for a minute if it'll let me. I don't know if it'll let me. It won't. Anyway, our kitchen's been torn apart. I'm sitting in kind of like our little sunroom breakfast area right now. But we've been trying to redo the cabinets, and I think the cabinets are going to be done this week. You can see like we've got them completely white now, but the doors aren't on. If you can see that. I don't know if you can see that or not. Okay. So I think we're going to put the doors and drawers back on this week. So I'm super excited. I'll show you all what it looks like when we're totally done. I'm going to put in a backsplash and kind of redecorate a little bit too. So other plans to keep me kind of going throughout the week and focused on something in the kitchen that's a little more productive than eating everything in it. Anyway, 2 pounds down. Time to celebrate. Not with food. I hope y'all are doing awesome too. See you later.